At this time, Bruce's cousin, James Giles, is going to come. Was a foreign missionary in Colombia for 35 years, and he wants to say a word of tribute to Bruce Giles.
When I heard about Bruce's passing, I immediately began to think of memories of years gone by. And so I wanted to say a few words of tribute to Bruce and Hazel and their family. I was just a little boy, and we lived on a farm out near Floydada. And I remember one afternoon, Uncle Arnold and Aunt Tommy. Aunt Tommy came by with a whole car full of kids. And that was Bruce and Bob and Truett and Mildred and Maurice. And we had a short visit together, a wonderful time. And then there was a long lapse of several years when Bruce was pastor up in Bovina. And we lived in Clovis, New Mexico at that time. And one of the sons was born. Billy was born in Clovis at the Clovis Hospital. And Bruce used to come by our house and visit with us. And when he had a church member in the hospital there in Clovis, he would always come by and visit in our home for a short time. I was a high school student at that time, but I was thinking seriously about the ministry. And it's an amazing thing how Bruce was a real model for me, a mentor for me in those years. And then later on, when I was in college and seminary, on several occasions, by that time he was pastor in Earth at the Baptist church there, and he was generous enough to invite me out for a youth revival back in the days of youth revivals. Well, there wasn't very good preaching there, but it was a wonderful experience for me as a young preacher to have the opportunity to have a closer contact with Bruce and Hazel and the children at that time. And as we would go from Clovis to Floydada back and forth, we stopped and worshiped in the First Baptist Church on Earth at different times. Bruce one time went down and preached to all the relatives in a family reunion down at Bridgeport. And he said that was the biggest missionary opportunity that he had ever had. And I remember very well, that was one of the best sermons I ever remember hearing Bruce preach. Later on, he was called to the Flint Avenue Baptist Church here in Lubbock. And again, he invited me to come and preach a revival. I had a few years of experience at that time, and among the people that I preached to that morning we used to call him Rocket. I don't know if he's Mildred and Rocket, who were more or less newlyweds at that time. But we had a wonderful week during that time at the Flint Avenue Baptist Church. And then on a successive furlough, we were on our way out to California, and we stopped at the Westmoreland Baptist Church. And Bruce invited me to preach in the morning service there. And so I look back on all the years. Through the years, we always got a letter or a card from Hazel or Bruce at Christmas time. And a few years ago, we came through here and stopped in their home and had a brief visit. And I want to say that Bruce was very proud of his family. And I remember hearing him talk about Clifford and all of his achievements in the field of science out in New Mexico. And I remember hearing him talk about Karen and the work that she was doing at Gainesville at that time. And I remember hearing him talk about Billy, the dentist down in Houston, and Gary, the Latin teacher up in Amarillo, along with his wife also. And it's been a real privilege to me today to be able to come and see these people and join with you in saying farewell to the physical body of Bruce. Bruce gave his life to the ministry. And I was thinking this morning, as we were getting ready to come, ministers don't accumulate a lot of the material riches in this life, but there are rewards, and Bruce is enjoying those rewards right now and will be throughout eternity. I was thinking about that passage over in Luke chapter 12. You remember one time two brothers came to Jesus and they were fussing about the inheritance. how it was going to be divided. And one of the brothers said, "Master, tell my brother to divide with me the possessions." And you know what Jesus said, a kind of a loose translation? He said, "Wait a minute. Don't you know that the material things in this life are not those things that are important? It's the spiritual service that we give to God. It's the commitment, the faithfulness that we have to Him. This is what really matters, and this is what makes us rich." And I consider that Bruce is one of the richest persons that the world has ever known because of the example he gave, because of the commitment in the ministry. I know that in the later years he didn't have as good health as previously, but every time we came through, he was praising God and thanking God for the opportunity to be a part of His kingdom's work. And we appreciate so much Hazel, who has talked with us through the years about their ministry together. And so we rejoice in what God has done with this couple and what God will continue to do with Hazel and all of the children in the years ahead. Thank you very much.